This is a March energy update. Beginning March 1st, we're going to see a lot of potential for an alchemical transformation within ourselves. And this is because on March 1st, the moon, Mercury, and Venus will be in conjunction. And so as we look at the alchemical cryptogram of the Philosopher's Stone, basically of the vitriol, we can see how this symbolism could be interpreted or felt within us as we look at each piece as the serpent being our truest energy, our unique energy within us as an individual, but also points back to our origins as this chaotic energy that's at stillness potential that the creators want to organize or shift into something which can be controlled. Okay, then we look at the earth where we are. We see the earth is going through a lot of things right now. There was a lot of fires, earthquakes, tsunamis, and different things. So it points to a transformation within the earth as well. This Mercury, Moon, and Venus conjunction is going to also lead into other things such as the sun and moon energies and how they relate. Okay, and so moving further down into this document, I want to go ahead and go to the energies of each. Okay, so the energies of the moon. Let's start with the moon. The energies of the moon. And so we all know the energies of the moon is related to water. But water also indicates mist. It also indicates the oceans, the seas, tears, all of our watery organs. And so we want to consider how the energy of the moon also affects our emotions and how we can be swayed with the tides, right? And this is important because everyone knows, like on a full moon specifically, that things go kind of wild and people start behaving in different ways that they wouldn't have ordinarily. And so when we look at the energies of moon, we want to consider, how does it feel within us? Not just read these words on a page, which mean absolutely nothing. No one wants to memorize this stuff, so it's not anything that should be memorized, but it should be something to reflect upon, such as the energies within the moon of intuition, empathy, reflection. So what does that say to you? What are the negative components of it, such as being in an illusion, and that points back to the earth, right? And the moodiness or passivity that we might feel. And then we can look at what can we use in that as it's in conjunct with Mercury and Venus. So because this is a very important time. So now we look at the Mercury energy for the same sort of elements, which is communication, the intellect, adaptability. We can think of Mercury as thought producing or Thoth, right? And it is the power of organization, of communication, using logic or symbols, reasoning, language, left brain logical. Also, we could look at where is Mercury and what is it close to? Does it have a moon? It does not have its own moon. It's close to the sun, so it cannot have its own moon. Its symbol is the caduceus, right? With the crescent moon upside down, or Kundalini. So this is how I want you to look at this, because it's going to help you with this month of March in processing whatever energies are coming, and you can set intentions because we're headed towards a 3-3 portal. But the conjunction first is an introduction to say, hey, look, check this out, what's going on. Because as we know, through mathematics, through a mathematical explanation, we are tied to these energies, to these planets, and to an intuitional pointer, we can see how they affect us, right? And so when we think also of Mercury, we can think in terms of how the negative would be a deceit or restlessness or superficiality. And when we think of that, we can consider what's happening on the world stage right now. And right now, how does Venus and Mercury interplay? How do they interact? So we want to think about, is that a balance or what? Because when we look at Venus, Venus is abundance, productivity, love, birth, creation, sex, the number 7, right? Gut intuition and self-trust. And it's when it's in conjunction with the moon, that indicates passion. So we have all of this these are our most intense energies that are in conjunct as of yesterday. But you might have felt something towards the end of February, and you might feel something today moving within you. Okay, and so we already talked about the moon. We talked about Mercury, and now let's look at Venus. Because I believe I already spoke on Venus. Yeah, I did speak on Venus, but I want to show it as well. So this is cultivating love and beauty and maintaining independence and self-worth. And I also realize that we are approaching a reset. Something within me is saying, okay, focus on the energies that are appropriate for me, because this is a triad. And if you know anything about triads, we spoke about that, is that is harnessing the power, the energy within the three. The three, or the triad, forms the base of all creation. And it's the power source with you at the center of it. And consider that we are tied to the planets. And this month is going to be spectacular. Later in the month, we'll see eclipses. We'll see where the moon is also, we're going to have a full moon. We're going to have meteor showers. So the energy of the 3-3, which would be the 3-3 portal, carries a lot of urgency, meaning that it's a precursor to load up the month ahead. So when we look at 3-3 anyway, we know that 3-3 is a master number. We know that 3-3 is how the world was built on the 33rd or the 1/3 or the 33% of the mother matrix. And so then when we look closer at the 3-3, just as just for number logic's sake, we could say the 3-3 is 6. 3 plus 3 is 6. 1 plus 5 is 6. The 5 is important. The 1 is important for all the reasons we spoke about, being 1 is the monad. 5 represents the body, where spirit is at the top and the elementals are flanking. And it also means the pentagrammaton, right? So this is a conjunction of that. We can also see how 4 plus 2 is equal to 6. And again, you could go into your number logic where 4 plus 2, you can know 2 is duality, 4 is a door, but 4 is also the tetragrammaton. So it's a lot here. So this is kind of telling me that we have a choice to make when we set our intentions. And if you're on this, then you'll be able to see, okay, this 3-3 portal could indicate a soul's path for us, where we take some people call the Merkaba or the Star of David, where you have an arrow or you have a triangle pointing up and a triangle pointing down, each of them representing the triad, one single triad, or the dual triad. And then we can see that in a hexagon, or we can see it as being in a cube, depending on how we're looking at ourselves in our lives. So we have a choice to make on the 3-3 portal for how we want to set up the rest of the month, bouncing off of the conjunction on March 1st, where Moon, Mercury, and Venus were conjunct. Okay, so now as we look at this 3-3 portal, we can also extend it to magical squares, the Lu Shu, we call that also the Saturn cube, where we look at the 3x3 squares, right? Which was originally used for agriculture to be able to gauge time, building calendars, and learning astronomy and astrology. But now we can look at it as, okay, this 3-3 portal aligns with all of that, because what did that do? That set up society to go from nomadic life, from living in tents and huts, to prosperity. So we can use it for either side. Anyone who will be afraid of these things, of knowing number logic and number magic, would be afraid of themselves and maybe be stuck back in and lacking and not having a prosperous projection for the year ahead, March. So the 3-3 portal also indicates movement towards the 3-6, which is the next one for me to present. But going back real quick to the 3-3, we see that the moon has a 9x9 square, which can break down the sum of all the digits within the square. You get a number 3,321, which sums 333, which indicates 3-6, or indicates 12, which is 3, right? Okay, so that brings us forward. We also want to consider the 3 in reverse of itself. 3, 3, instead of the 3s facing towards the left as you write them, place 1 on the opposite side to look almost like an E, and that gives you the 8. So that's kind of like a cycle, or the infinity sign if you turn it on its head on the opposite side. Okay, other things I wanted to mention about the 3-3 before we move to the 3-6-9, which will be 3-6-2025, is that the 3 is a triplet. I already said that. Coming into the 3-6-9 or 3-6-2029, we have our first quarter moon, which is an indication of the moon phase due to its angle between the earth, moon, and sun. So when I want to look at that, I'll say, okay, well, what does that look like to me? In the sky, when I look at it, the moon is in half, and we'll see the moon rising at the horizon. So if you see the moon, one half is light, one half is dark, then you're saying, okay, I'm looking at two things then. I'm looking at the sun as it's shining on the moon and a darkened sun on the dark side of the moon. That may not seem like much, but it means a lot if you're taking it all together, as this can be an indication of an amplification or a darkening of the intention set on the 3-3. And so then when we go to look at just the numbers, the 3-6-9, the number logic, we get 3 plus 6 plus 9 is 18. 1 plus 8 is 9. That's a divine number. And then we arrange it around the cycles, such as in the vortex math or on the Enneagram, and we see how it forms that oscillating triangle of energy. That is the absolute truth, right? But then if we take it another step further and we look at how the moon is appearing in the sky on that day and it's in half, what does that do in a circle? It creates a right triangle. If you look at the center dot or the end circle spot of a circle, it's a right triangle. And right triangles automatically point us in the direction of magic cubes, Pythagorean math, and then we can go from there and look at, okay, well, what magic cube do we want to focus on here? We can focus on a 3x3. We can focus on a 6x6, which will be the sun. We can focus on the 9x9, which will be the moon. I indicate in my notes to myself, look at both of them, because we can't look at the moon without having the sun, right? And so when we look at the 9x9 moon cube, we see that it's arranged in an amazing pattern of energy and power, right? And so then when we look at the 6x6, the 6 indicates hexagon, like we already gone over, the number 36, 111, and 666. So to focus on the chakras of the Enneagram for balance, harmony, and to get into alignment, because the energy on 369 will be will be like an accumulated effect from at least the 27th of February. That's as far back as I looked, where that was a new moon. In a new moon, that's when the moon is dark, because the sun and moon are super close to each other. So at that point, they're almost together, like birthing. Like, you know, when I think of it, I think the universe as a sexual being. So it's like they're copulating, right, at that point. And that was the 27th. Then the 28th, we had a planetary parade. So they gave off a septuplet, right? They gave off 7, like that. Not that they really did give them, but just the progression in my mind, like a historical lesson. At first they copulated on the 27th, and then the planetary parade was like, yes, 7. And 7 is a cycle of time, because everything is on the 7, right? Okay, so what that tells me is that now on 3-1, the planets were in conjunction. The moon, the moon, Venus, and Mercury. And we've talked about what those energies mean. So what are we making here? What's being built here? What's being born? Okay, and then now we go to the 3-3, which is the portal. Okay, this is where you could do what you want with what the energies are. But a lot of people don't know that something's going on. They don't even know they're connected with the energies. And so on 3-3, you set your intentions. You choose, right? And then on 3-6-9, that is when you start doing something with it. You can sit still, you can fast, you can vibrate high, you can sing, you can write out your chart, you can write out your Enneagram for what your intention is. You can design it around whatever your intentions was 3 days prior. And then you can actively engage with that the rest of the month and see how everything aligned with your intention that you set now. And you can always make adjustments too.